Welcome to the Connectable podcast.
The Connectable podcast starts in 3, 2, 1.
Okay, let me ask you a question.
Okay.
We haven't recorded for a little while, and be honest.
Mm-hmm.
How much have you missed conversations with me? Like weekly conversations. Be real. It won't hurt my feelings.
On a scale of 1 to 10, like 7.
So, all right. The way you were
Or like a 6, or like a 6.5 at the least, 7 at the most.
Okay, so I got a half point.
I changed my mind mid-sentence.
I know. Like, the way you hesitated, I'm like, oh, this is gonna like 3. Can't come back. Like, do we do a podcast? What's your name again? So for anybody who doesn't know, we've taken a little time off because my wife had a baby. So we have another little girl in our family. So it's super exciting. And so thank you very much. Yeah. So we took some time off from recording. We were working pretty hard before the due date to get a bunch of episodes recorded. So that's why in past episodes, I've told you guys, hey, if you hear something that's maybe a little bit off as far as time, like I know with the Spivey brothers, we kind of mentioned WrestleMania. Once you heard that episode, they're like, that was like 3 weeks ago. That's not even relevant. So, just kind of part of the situation. We couldn't record during that time just because it was going to be too difficult. So now from this point on, we should be doing more current episodes. In fact, this one for a couple of different reasons is going to be even more current than we've ever done before because we're recording this on Tuesday. And it will be coming out probably Thursday of the same week, just because of some different things that happen. So anything we say here is as current as it could possibly be. So anyways, hopefully we're not too rusty. We were just joking. We haven't recorded together for a while. And to be honest with you, we didn't really talk or text very much during that time. Mm-hmm. I know I text you to let you know that our little girl was born and then it was like a long time. And then I started texting you because I had a bunch of ideas. And you're probably thinking, oh, I guess we're going to be podcasting soon.
Yeah. No, I told Josh he had, I don't know when was it, last week, earlier this week, then we're starting to talk about, hey, okay, for the next episode. And I think I made a comment like, aren't you tired? You have 2 kids now. How are you? How do you have energy? I barely have energy and I have no kids. I have 0 kids, none. And I'm like, how do you do this? But by the way, how do you like being a father of 2 so far?
It's good. I mean, it's definitely a learning experience. That's the thing. When you just, whether you have none and your first one's born or you have 1 and then your second one's born, I think no matter what there's always this learning thing. I've never understood some people, I think, have a weird misconception of what it's going to be like. And my personal philosophy with this stuff, it was this way with our first child, and it's this way now. I want this to sound worse than it is, but like I assume that it's going to be really difficult. Like I just look at things. I'm like, okay, this is going to probably be really challenging. I'm probably going to get 1 hour of sleep. I'm probably going to, just be exhausted the whole time. And then when you get to that point, for at least for us, there's definitely challenging moments, but it's never as bad as I build it up in my mind. And I do that intentionally. That might be a weird thing. But like that's like a mental thing that I do to better prepare myself, because I think some people think, it won't be that bad. It could be really bad. And then if it's worse than you think, then all of a sudden you're shocked. And then I think it throws your whole mindset off. So like I said, that might be a weird way of looking at parenting, but that's how I look at it. And I'm also, I would be lying too if I said that I don't do well with a little bit of sleep. Like that's a really big plus for me and my personality. I don't need a ton of sleep. I've joked before, I'm 32. There's been moments where, and this is with kids, and I'm not trying to brag when I say this because some of this stuff sounds very immature, but I'll play online video games with my brother Jordan up until like 2 a.m, and then I'll wake up at like 5:30 to go do like a 10-mile run, and then come home, play with kids and all that stuff. And the moment it hits me is when I sit down. Like the moment I sit down, all of a sudden I was like, what did I do? But if I'm moving, doing yard work and stuff like that, I'm good. So like I said, that's not meant to be a brag. It's just, I think I'm okay with that. So when we were joking back and forth, like the podcast, one, I love it. So I think when you're passionate about something, you just find the energy. Same with my family. Like I love my family. So of course I'm going to have the energy to play with them and hang out.
Right.
But like this podcast, I love it. So I just find the time
Yeah.
I think it's important, this is not what we're talking about today, but I think it's important too, to not sacrifice time with your family.
Yeah.
I remember hearing, because you hear people all the time, and I'm sure you've heard this, Deb, especially people in our generation. I feel like all these entrepreneurs and people, it's like you got to grind, grind, grind. And if you got to quit your job and just throw it all to the wind, cool. That's not for me. And so, and some people make it seem like you can't pursue your passion and do a full-time job or handle your responsibilities. They make it seem as though if you want your passion, you have to go after it all in the whole time. And I'm like, I have responsibilities. I have people that count on me. I can't do that.
Right.
And so
Right.
I heard Jocko Willink, who's a former Navy SEAL, just a beast of a man. If you're an athlete or anybody who just wants some motivation, listen to his podcast. But I remember him saying, and this is again a Navy SEAL, a super driven guy. He's like, I had to get to a point where I'm like, I can't sacrifice family time. He's like, so if there's something I want, if there's a passion that I want to pursue, I have to do it in the times when it doesn't require me to be with them. So for me, at nighttime like this, I have time to do the podcast because kids are asleep and it's pretty quiet here, so I can do it. Now, when it comes to editing the podcast, I have to do it in these off times when no one's awake because I just can't sacrifice time with my family to pursue something I'm passionate about. So if I want it that badly, I've got to make time to do it. So it's like, okay, I didn't do it at night. Guess what? I got to wake up at 4 a.m. to edit it. It's just my problem to deal with. So that was probably a more intense answer than you were looking for, but like that's my mindset. Like, I don't know.
It's good. It sounds like you were built for this then.
Maybe.
It's good.
Maybe the listeners, our downloads don't show that. Our downloads are very low for this podcast, but
built well then for this and just being like a family man and having kids and being able to like balance everything. And like you said, you don't need much sleep, which is the complete opposite case with me. I am a total don't come near me.
Well, you've almost fallen asleep on this podcast.
Yes. Several times, you guys, I've told Josh, I don't know if I can do 8 p.m. recordings anymore. I told him, I said, man, that's rough for me. And then, of course, with you, you're like, well, that's, dang it. Cause that's best for me with my kids. I'm like, all right, let's try. Okay. We could do this. I need to, and then here I am. I'm like, God, I don't have any kids. Like, I feel like okay, I could do it. It's fine. Josh has kid. Well, now 2. So I'm like, oh, so you're making me feel like a wimp here, but
no, that's not as much as I would love to do that to you. That's not the intention. So, well, it's not like you're not busy though. Like we don't talk about it on this podcast, but on our other podcasts that we aren't doing now.
That was like, I thought you were going to cry right before you said that. That was like a tear. You were like, you stop. I know.
I'm so excited. I'm going on my own. I'm
He's excited to leave me because I gave my 2 weeks notice like a long time ago.
And this time I took her. Yeah, I took her up on it. Unless I told Deb, the door's always open. So unless like the last minute, she just like decides to like, hey, I'm here. It's like, dang, like I did all the promo material and your name wasn't on it. But no, I lost my thought. No, so. Stuff that you do that we don't talk about on this podcast is that you are an assistant athletic director for your school. And obviously with everything going on and everything starting to open back up and sports coming back, you're incredibly busy. So let's not pretend like you're just sitting there waiting for the podcast every day. It's like, this is all I got to do. You're super busy. See, I don't like when people like want to compare things. It's like, it's just different.
I know.
You know what I mean? Like I would,
right.
I don't like to, and I know you're not doing that, but I don't like when people, maybe that's a pet peeve of mine.
Oh, that was a good segue. I like it.
You like that?
Let's get right into it. Yeah.
Actually, one more thing before we get started.
Okay.
I will say this. So like we were joking, the only time that we really contacted each other during this little break that we took was to get some podcast stuff going and schedule stuff and all of that. But I did reach out to you at one point because I'm trying to keep working out and stuff like that. And I asked you for some ab stuff because like the core ab routines, I've tried to look up some of like, sometimes I do them offline. Like when I find it online, it's like, I don't feel like I really did anything. And some of them, it's like, well, I'm not a Navy SEAL. I can't do that one. So I needed to find something in between. So I'm like, I'm gonna talk to my friend Deb, and you sent me one, and I hated you after it. And then I'm like, it can't get any worse than this. And then the next one that you sent me, I'm like, oh, you see, here's why I hate you, and I'm gonna explain this right now. The reason I hate you is because the second one that you sent me starts off with 10 leg lifts. Easy, 10 leg lifts. I'm like, fine. The last two suck, and you suck, and the workout sucked. So I just want to put that out there to everybody. So that being said, if you are looking for help getting in better shape, or if you're looking for something that's going to really challenge you, this is like I think as a trainer, this is a great endorsement, right? This is pretty
Yes.
good. Yeah. So if you're looking to get in shape and you're scared, this is not the best endorsement. But if you're a trainer, you're like, Deb sounds awesome. So yeah, those are killer. I did it today, and I thought I was going to die. And I've been using. So one of the things you had me use, or you had me do, was a 30 dead bugs, right? Which I like that I like that exercise. But you decided to do it with weight. Now I don't know if you were trying to kill me, like literally try to kill me, because I used a 20-pound kettlebell. And I do these outside. Do you know how slippery a kettlebell gets outside? Very slippery.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, on the up, my life's gonna end. It's just gonna take me out, because I'm gonna take a kettlebell to the dome. So
watch that noggin, that's for sure.
And I have a big head. It's a big service.
Those are my favorite, though.
I'm not gonna lie, those are my favorite too. Uh-oh, Deb froze. I missed this. I missed the freezing.
Oh. Am I back?
You're back.
I'm back. Okay.
Yeah.
All I heard was Deb froze. I'm like, oh, great.
Yeah. I miss this a lot. I love freezing.
Oh, yes. Freezing, the faces, the technology hates me anyway. My laptop, one last, little segue, and then we can get into talking about pet peeves, because this is actually one of my pet peeves, kind of, not on my list, but something I just thought of. But
yeah,
technology, because in the middle of one of my classes today, or right before I was going to start it, open my Zoom, I have kids in front of me and I'm like getting ready. My main computer completely crashes.
Oh no.
And I have a backup. I have a little Chromebook as a backup, but the Chromebook doesn't have all the capabilities that my main, the laptop I'm currently on right now, doesn't have the capabilities of me sharing music, screen sharing, having all the host capabilities.
Sure.
So I'm like, crap.
That's a bummer.
I'm literally like saying crap. Oh, cool. Like just being like sarcastic. And my kids in front of me are looking at me like, what's wrong with her? I'm like talking to myself. Sure. Anyway, no worries, you guys, though. I got my class started on time and everything, but I'm just like, today, just like technology hates me. So if I freeze that. Yes. So anyway.
Are you almost done?
We have one more week. Next week we're done. And then we're done next week. And then sports are done the week after. Some sports go into the first week of June. Mm-hmm. Not many, though. A lot of them are actually done this week. Some are done next week, and some are done the first week of June. But school is done next week. Like graduation is next week and everything. And then I have the first week of June I have off, and then I jump right into summer school the second week of June. Okay. Boom, boom. So that'll be fun. I'm excited.
You sound excited. Are you being real, or are you being sarcastic? Because you froze, so I can't tell. Oh, this is the worst. I'm just out here on an island talking to myself. And I don't know if Deb's still talking to me, but she's definitely frozen. Anybody who's watching on YouTube can tell that she is just looking at me blankly. Oh, she's back. I told you. I hate Zoom. Do you ever think about this? Like, if we could go back in time, like if you and I could hop in a time machine and go visit ourselves 2.5 years ago when we started this podcasting thing, and warn ourselves, like, hey, just so you know, this pandemic is coming your way, and you're gonna have to record these stupid podcasts over Zoom. Just prepare yourself. My former self would be like, I don't believe you, and I'd be shocked when we get to this moment. Yeah. Yep.
So, well, I don't know what you caught of that, but anyway, I forgot what I said. So
I don't know. Here we go. We're back into it.
Right along.
So, like I alluded to earlier, we're talking about pet peeves today. We just thought it would be fun. One of my pet peeves. I don't know I think it was mentioned in a podcast or something was like this was mentioned in a podcast that I was listening to, and it just kind of made this thing in my mind click. I'm like, oh, that'd be a fun topic because I think pet peeves are interesting. You know what I mean? It's just
Yeah.
those little things that drive
Yeah.
us crazy. And
Yeah.
so I have a few, and I'm sure
Okay.
as you mentioned yours, other things are going to spark in my mind as well. I'm
Mhm.
sure I have a ton of pet peeves. Right now I have 4, but
Yeah.
I think there's definitely more. But
Okay.
go ahead. I'll let you start off. What's a pet peeve of yours?
Well, the first thing I wrote down, and okay, any of my pet peeves I say, I mean, everyone shares common pet peeves. I know what a pet peeve is, but I looked it up. I looked up the actual definition.
Oh, look
I
at
asked
us.
Siri. I just wanted like an actual definition. Huh? I
I said,
know,
like, look at
right?
us.
So
We're looking up
Siri
definitions.
said something along the lines of, it's something. It basically is something that bothers you beyond what would bother a normal person or what would bother everybody else,
Okay,
type thing.
sure.
But like I said, these probably bother most people. So
Yeah, I
I
agree
don't
with
really
that.
have anything that is crazy out of the ordinary. And these aren't super serious. You definitely don't want to beat anybody up over these, but I think they
You're
are.
so much nicer than me. I wouldn't have even prefaced that. But go ahead. No, actually, you know what that
uh,
means is that means that Deb knows someone that listens to this podcast that does these
oh
things.
no.
So just know
Oh no.
everybody.
No, it's okay. I mean, if they know it, then they know it. I'll
All right.
pick one. How about out of my whole list at the end? If you remind me, I'll pick which one I would really beat someone up over because I can't decide. Because
Oh,
I try not, a lot of things don't bother me. But anyway, okay, let me start with the first one. So
okay.
actually, this might be the one that I want to beat someone up over. So we'll start with the big one.
Okay.
Rude, rude people or like passive aggressiveness. I put that in the same category.
Okay. Yeah,
So again,
I'm with you.
very quick, probably, but it just, I don't know. There's something about, and I work with teenagers, and I honestly can handle their rudeness. Does not bother me that much. They're teenagers, and you know, but and I expect it from them. But when it comes from adults, oh my gosh, like and especially if I'm like, I didn't do anything to you, but
Yeah.
because I work sporting events, and I interact a lot with the parents and whoever comes to the games that are adults. They don't even have to, like, I don't know them. And just as something as simple as just, even when someone is rude to like a host or hostess at a restaurant, or
Yes.
like the waiter, or just at a grocery store, just in public in general, when I witness someone being just completely rude, completely passive aggressive, it takes everything in me not to say something or stand up to the person that I see it happening to. I try to stay in my own lane and mind my own business, and I definitely don't like to start drama, and I don't like drama anyway.
Hmm.
That's definitely probably my big beat someone up over pet peeve, just rude people, or
Yeah.
passive aggressiveness.
Well, and
Yeah.
as you mentioned on a previous podcast, you have punched windows before. So just know if you're rude to someone, she's either going to punch you or punch your property. So just beware. It could
I
be a
don't know
rough
which
day
is
for you.
worse.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. I don't like that either. And like you said, especially as adults, this is stuff that, like, let's be honest, people, this is stuff that we learn in elementary school. This is stuff that we
Yeah.
learn from Sesame Street. This is stuff you learn from cartoons, is just to be kind to people. And so when you don't do that as an adult, especially when it's unprompted, and when you
Yeah,
talk,
unprompted. That's
you know what
that's
I'm
a good
saying?
way to put it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's unprompted. It's like, oh, you're just being rude. So because
Mhm.
if I you know came at you and you were rude back to me, then it might be
Right.
more justified. But if I just came on here and was just rude to you for no reason,
Hmm.
why? Especially when it
Yeah.
comes to strangers, because at least you and I are friends. So
Yeah.
there could be something where if I was rude to you,
Right.
maybe there's more behind it. Maybe
Hmm.
maybe you said something. Maybe I'm just really angry at you because of the ad work that you sent. Whatever it may be, there's like something
Yeah.
behind it that maybe we could say, hey, like what's the deal here? When it's a total stranger, for example, like you said with a host or a hostess at a restaurant, you have no
Yeah.
relationship with that person. So you
Yeah.
being rude, there's nothing behind it. There's no deeper level that needs to be uncovered to see, like, why are you being so rude to this person? No, you're just being rude. Maybe you're having a bad
Right.
day, but I don't. Some people, it's like when you're having a bad day, I get it, But when it comes to just people you interact with and strangers, I still don't feel like that's an excuse to be rude to someone. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah, totally.
And
Yep.
so no, I'm maybe that's a pet peeve of mine too. I don't like that people. I don't
Add
like
it
that
to your
you're,
list.
well, and I think going to the restaurant thing, or any, if you're going to a grocery store or whatever it may be, I feel like in some of those jobs, the
Yeah.
customer, for whatever reason, I think there's a lot of great people out there. I don't think a lot of people do this, but I think there are a decent amount of people that feel like they come in super entitled. Like, I'm coming
Mm,
in here and I can talk to you this way because you're beneath me and you're supposed to basically serve me, the customer. So I have the right to talk to you this way. Not that they're thinking that like explicitly in their mind, but I think there's something inside of them that feels that way. And that to me is just like, what are we doing? Like,
yeah.
this is nonsense. It's the most annoying
Yeah.
thing.
Right. Yeah. I think I don't know who wouldn't I don't know who wouldn't agree with that, but that's definitely at the top of my list with
Yeah.
pet peeves.
Well, you know, it's
Yeah.
wild. Man, how many years ago was this? Quite a while ago. I had the opportunity to do a fundraiser through this group at the
Mm,
U.S. Open at Pebble Beach. Really cool. And basically, we were working for a catering company, and then however many hours we worked, that would go to our fundraiser. And so I was there for like, I think, 12 days. I mean, I was there for a long time, and I was in the USGA suite. So these are all people that are very rich, very very influential, and would be not justified, but like you could see them talking down to us. Most of those
mhm,
people were incredibly friendly. So in my mind, it's
mhm.
like, if people in that place are incredibly kind and not talking down to you, like, why are you, the customer at Applebee's, losing your mind
Mhm.
and talking poorly to this waiter or waitress who,
Yeah.
for all intents and purposes, are kind of on the same level as you are? You know what I'm saying? Like, what are we doing?
Right.
It's the
Yeah.
strangest thing.
Yeah, especially when it's adults. Like I said, I half expect it from teenagers when I work with them, and you just try to correct their behavior, and they're learning, and that's my job, is I'm teaching them to, not be rude. But when it comes from adults, it's like, okay, well, I'm not going to teach you. I don't know you,
Right.
and I
Well,
can't
because
fix that. It's too late.
right, right.
Too late
Well,
now.
and the frustrating thing about that is those exact same people, if someone spoke to them that way, they would
Oh,
lose
they
their
would.
freaking mind.
Oh yeah, for sure. Absolutely. So it's very what's the word I'm looking for?
Hypocritical.
Yeah, yes. Double standard, hypocritical. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
anyway, so there's one of mine.
Okay.
And
Uh,
you want to ping pong this back and forth. You want to go next?
yeah, I'll go next.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I have a bunch of them. Like I said, I'd have four, but I feel like some of these would just like we'll just go. So I'm gonna save the like more silly one for last, even though it drives me
Okay.
crazy. But one thing that drives me insane is when someone asks you a question, and
Hmm.
as you're starting to answer the question, they feel the need to jump in and guess at what you're gonna say and try to answer the question for you. It was like, "Hey, what color is the sky? Today it's. You think it's blue? No, no. I was thinking it's like. Oh, you mean like oranges? Nah." That drives me crazy because like at that point it's like, why did you ask me the question in the first place? You apparently have all of the answers. Just answer the question yourself. But instead, you decided to ask me and get me involved in something I didn't want to be involved in. And now I'm getting frustrated because you're you're trying to guess what I'm saying, even though you asked me for my opinion. That drives me insane. I think just interrupting, like there's a like you and I have interrupted each other, other people, like when you're kind of in friend circles, you interrupt each other. There's a difference, like when there's like you're having a conversation and there's just like a blatant interruption. That drives
Yeah.
me crazy. But like in this specific one, yeah, I think people trying to interrupt you and answer the question that they asked you. Not a
It's
fan.
funny.
Do you do that?
So as you were saying that, I was like, oh my God, I wrote something exactly like that down my list. And I thought I was the only one. Mine's a little different though. So like mine that I wrote down was a question like asked to you, but before you have a chance to answer, it's followed by a long drawn out explanation. or examples when you
Sure.
already like have the answer in your head and you're trying to answer, but they're not like guessing your answer like you like what you said, but they're like still talking about it. Then they're
Right.
talking about it and I'm like, okay, I'm ready for my answer though. So, and I don't like interrupting people. I mean, I know I'm sure I do anyway, even without realizing it, but
Sure.
I try not to. So like, I'll just let them explain and try to jump in when I can. And then once their 5-minute explanation is over, and then I'm like, yeah, and then I say my answer. And then so it's like that's so it's funny as you were saying that, I was like, oh my God, is that exactly what I wrote down? So kind
It's
of
pretty.
similar, kind of,
It's in the
yeah.
same lane. I think it's definitely in the same. It's in the same family of pet peeves for sure. It
Yeah.
yeah, but you mentioned something that's a good point. I with some of these, specifically like that one or a couple
Mhm.
others, what drives me more than the pet peeve is if I catch myself doing it. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
If I do it, that makes me more angry than if someone does it to me, because then it's like we go back to what we were saying earlier. It's hypocritical. It's like I hate
Yeah.
that. If you say
Yeah.
something, it's like, oh, is this what you're trying to say, Deb? Like, oh, I just did it. Now I feel like an idiot. You know what I mean? That makes me
Yeah.
more upset than anything. Interrupting people
Would you want
or
to beat yourself up over that?
no, I don't feel. Let's be honest, I don't feel that bad.
Yeah,
I'll
but
talk
that,
bad about myself for a little bit, and I'm like, yeah, you're fine.
yeah,
But no,
yeah,
I
yeah.
that stuff I hate, and it's happened. It's worse when it happens fairly quickly after you get irritated by something like that. So if someone
Yeah.
interrupts me, or if someone uh, is rude to me, and then
Mm.
5 minutes later I'm rude to someone, it's like, well, I just did the same thing I was complaining about. Like, can I really complain about that thing now? I kind of lost
Yeah.
the right to do so. So maybe that's a
Yeah.
pet peeve of mine too. I don't know, but
Yeah.
yeah.
That's funny. Super similar.
Yep, super
Yeah.
similar.
That was fun.
So do you want to do another one, since that was kind
Okay.
of
Yeah.
the same one? All right,
Yeah. So
what do you
okay.
got?
Okay. So this next one is just pretty simple. Talking while chewing your food. So like I I will like, so for example, I mean, this doesn't really need examples, but like when I'm having lunch with my coworkers,
Yeah.
right? We have a limited amount of time, but we're all like trying to, most of us are trying to have conversations while we're eating lunch. But a lot of us will, or I will at least chew my food. I will at least cover my mouth
Hmm.
while I'm chewing, and then like stop chewing though, and then say something and then put my hand down. I will just I'll hold my hand up, my finger up, and then try to finish chewing, and and then talk. But
You know why? Because you're an
um
adult.
no, no, it's happened when people are like openly chewing their food and talking, and it doesn't like, it's not that it grosses me out. It's just a pet peeve. It's just in my head, I'm like, maybe it's my OCD, but I'm like, in my head, I'm like, stop, chew your food, swallow, and then talk. Like, I'm just trying to like, but I'm not going to say that out loud to them. So, but that's one of my pet peeves.
So I'm with
Yeah.
you. I would go the extra step, and I don't like when people chew with their mouth open. It's a big.
Yeah.
I just don't like that. And
Oh.
I'm with you though, or I'm unlike you. I do get grossed out by that, and I was asked to. How do I want to word this? I was asked to kind of host someone before, like they were coming into town, and they kind of wanted me to show this person around town, which was fine. And we ended up, we went to lunch, and this person was really bad about eating with their mouth open and talking with their mouth open, and so it was brutal for me because I was sitting across from this person, and I was just basically seeing this person's food be chomped up by their mouth, almost like a food processor. And I'm like, this is tough. I can't keep looking this way, because it was grossing me out. Oh no, you froze. You froze again. I'm not sure if you're coming back. You're just staring at me like you're very disappointed in what I'm saying. And nope, we lost you for a second. And you're back. What is going on with your room? Your room is like completely yellow.
And I'm back. It is?
Yeah, well, it was not anymore.
Oh.
I was just how
I,
much.
I told you Zoom hates me, especially
Well,
today.
Zoom hates our podcast, because this is not the first time this has happened. So, where did I lose you?
You like at the beginning of when I start. You're saying how chewing food or talking while chewing food grosses you out.
Yes, it grosses me out. And basically, what I was saying is I had to host this person that came into town, and we were, seeing some different things around Sacramento, and we eventually stopped for lunch. And I was sitting across from this person, and he was eating with his mouth open the entire time, like big chomps, and talking with his mouth, with food in his mouth. And I was basically watching a human blender blend up food in their mouth. I'm like, oh, this is so gross. And so as I'm eating, I'm just looking down, shoveling food in my
You're
mouth.
like, I
It's like
can't.
I can't, because I'll be honest, I have a weak stomach when it comes to that stuff. I'm like, can't do it, can't do it. So yeah, I'm with you. All I'm saying is I'm with you.
Okay, so you get it.
Oh, for
Yeah.
sure. Well, and I'm always like this. I feel like sometimes when I'm eating with someone, I'm constantly doing this, covering my mouth,
Yeah,
because
that's right too.
it's just the polite thing to do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you don't have
Yeah.
to
Or I
stop your
just try.
conversation, but you just, protect the people.
Or I just try. I just put more. I just hold my finger up.
Yeah.
Hold my
Yeah.
finger up, and I hold my finger up, and I cover my mouth while I'm chewing with it closed, because they're looking at me, waiting for me to like talk. So I'm like, crap. Now they're looking at me, so I have to cover my mouth. So I try to do that at least. Yeah.
That's, like I
Yeah.
said, because you're an adult and that's what you should be doing. So if that offends anybody out there, good.
Sorry.
It should no, no, no,
Good.
no, no, no. No, don't listen to Deb. That was apologizing. No, if that offends you, good, because that means you need to change your ways. So that's all I'm saying. So,
Yep.
anyways,
And the handbook, according to Josh and Deb, this is what you guys should be doing.
yeah,
So
we should do that. You're an author. What do you think?
Yeah.
The Connectable Handbook for Life.
Yes, I will use a pen name, but yes.
What? Are you embarrassed of this? Well, now my feelings are hurt. No, it's too late. Why would you use a pen name?
I'm just joking, because I said sorry. Because I would be like, I'm a terrible salesman. This is what I would do. I'd be like, yeah, do this, but you don't have to. And then you'll be over here like, oh no, you should do this. Like, this is what you guys should do. So how about I'll write it and we'll put your name on it.
Yeah, no, you don't have to tell me that you're a terrible salesman, because I don't see you post about this podcast very much at all. Not a big deal, but we're trying to.
You know this.
Oh, no, I know this. I've known this for 2 years. She's like, well, if you tag me, then I'll post it. Like, why do I need to tag you? We're in on this thing together. I'm sorry.
Tag me. That way I can click the button. It's easier.
Oh, that's what I'm trying to do, is make your life easier. You click 2 more buttons and you can do it yourself. That's all I'm saying. You guys can tell it's been a long time.
This is one of Josh's pet peeves too, dealing with me.
Yeah. Hey, promote our stuff. What a great idea. So
your next pet peeve, go.
Yeah. What is my next pet peeve? Which one do I want to go with? Let's see. Okay, so I know I've talked about this one on our other podcast, and we did it more in a joking way about adult rec league athletes, but I don't like it when people are constantly making excuses rather than just owning up for the mistake. Now, I'm not saying I have an issue with it, because some people are like, I don't want excuses at all. No, some excuses are legit, right? I believe in that, but I'm talking about the person. And if we're going to go with the softball analogy, there's the person who every error, even though it could be a beautiful infield, groomed and taken care of in a beautiful way. It could be a perfect, no bad hops. The ball goes right through their legs at shortstop, and they're like, yeah, dirt's different here. I guess if I was at my old field, I wouldn't have made that error. It's like, I cannot believe you just said that as a grown man. Why in the world did you do that? Or it's like, oh, I didn't catch that fly ball because of the sun. Homie, the sun's behind you. There's no sun. It drives me nuts. And there's people that just have to constantly, like, they can't just own up to the mistake. I tell people, I'm like, I dropped the ball, or hey, I messed up here. Like, what are you gonna do? I messed up. It's easier that way. Life is so much easier that way. But when people just, like, there's certain people that constantly, and I'm sure anybody who's listening to this, Deb, I'm sure that when I said this, someone probably popped in your mind. They just can't accept like failure or responsibility. But by doing that and by making all these excuses, you look dumb. You look dumb because everybody,
Yeah.
here's the thing. The only person that doesn't realize that you made a mistake or is not willing to accept it is you, because everybody else around you is like, oh no, you messed up. You messed up. We all know it. You're not hiding anything. Just own
Well,
up to
and
it.
yeah, and like the part of me that likes to psychoanalyze people, I don't know if it's because I'm a chick or if it's just me, but I'm always like, why do people do that? Like, why don't they own up to things or constantly make excuses?
Yeah.
And I think it's because, not that this needs an explanation, but I think it's because people are so afraid of failure that they're willing to do anything, like make an excuse so it doesn't seem like, oh, I didn't fail. This happened because of this, so it doesn't count as
Sure.
as a failure,
You're probably right.
right? Yeah.
But
So anyway, it baffles me though. I'm on the same page as you, so that's why I just like to think about, why do people do that?
well, because I think where it really bothers me is it trickles down into every area of that person's life, and it
Mhm.
trickles down into areas that should not matter. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Like again, I love playing sports, but I'll tell you what, I don't know about you, but adult rec league softball doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of life. So if you make an error out there, yeah, it's gonna bump some people out, but it's not the end of the world. Just own it to the mistake. Now, if it was like some like massive project you had at work, I could understand like how there would be some panic and trying to figure out every reason why it's not your fault. But for other
Mhm.
things, the people that do that just have to do that in every area of their life. And you're probably right. There probably is some deep seated, I
Right.
can't fail, so I have to find a reason why it's not my fault. But for
Mhm.
me, when you're trying to solve a problem, it's so much it prolongs the problem. That's the issue I have is if it's a more, say it's not the softball thing, but if it's something more serious and you're trying to figure out every reason why it's not your fault, cool. But if you would just own up to it and say, yeah, this is my fault, then you can move on and try to find a solution. Whereas if you're trying to find every reason why it's not your fault, you're wasting time. And that's, to me, just drives me nuts.
Mm-hmm.
So,
That's a good one. That's something that I would have to add to my list as well.
all right,
Um,
there we go.
yeah. Well, it's yeah, and it's funny because our with my with being a teacher, a lot of teachers out there who are, if anyone's listening, that's a teacher. I teach teenagers, so if you teach teenagers as well, you know what I'm talking about. But sometimes that's all they do is make excuses. All they do, and so again, with them, it's like you half expect it.
Sure.
But again, taking it a step further, when I see grown adults doing it over and over and over again, I'm like, bro, like, you need to fix this now because
Right.
I don't even, yeah, it's yeah, yeah. So, and if
Well,
it's like if it's people that I know, it's hard to like say that. It's hard to say, like, you keep making, I have no problem telling one of my teenagers, you keep making excuses. You need to stop because you're not owning up to anything. But for me, it's so hard to tell adults that. Like, I guess I don't care to fix adult behavior. Maybe that's what it is.
well, and you said it. I think you said it earlier. It's not your job to teach them. Your job with the
Right.
teenagers is like you're literally a teacher. So your job is
Yeah.
to teach them. And
Yeah.
I think the best teachers not only teach the subject that they're teaching, but they also teach life lessons that can
Mhm.
help in other areas of life for their students. And so that's a life lesson, right? Like it may not have anything to
Yeah.
do with your subject, but
Yeah.
that's something that you're supposed to be teaching your
Hmm.
students. Like your
Yeah.
peers or people that are adults, they're not your students, right? So that's not really your responsibility. It's just something that they shouldn't do. And hopefully someone in their close circle calls them out and says, hey, you make a lot of excuses,
Right.
this needs to stop because this is
Yeah.
silly. But again,
Exactly.
now that being said, I always hate it. Like if I circle back around like tomorrow and I make an excuse for something I messed up on, it's like, well, this is embarrassing because I just
You're
did the thing that I hate. So uh anyways, I could rant about that. This is basically just a,
yeah.
a rant. Like I feel like I
Oh
came into
yeah.
this podcast fired up. It's been a while.
Yeah, he was fired up.
Yeah.
It's because we haven't recorded in a while. That's why.
Yeah, what was that? That made it seem like I've been fired up this entire time, even before recording. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, he's been very calm. He's been very calm, even chatting beforehand. Very calm. That's him being a father of two daughters. But now this is Josh fired up.
And I'm not sure what we're doing because I feel like you went both extremes, and now I'm not sure if you're making fun of me or if I don't know what's going on. All right, just let's continue with the list. Let's continue with the list. What's your next one?
Starting at bedtime. I'm just kidding. Okay,
Oh,
this next one.
Okay, hold on. No. She is not joking.
There's one there. I just made an excuse.
Yeah. It's like, well, it is
It's at bedtime.
8:57. Like,
That's
no,
not an
no.
excuse. That's just a known fact.
That's a good point. That's
Yeah. Okay, so this next one is grammar and spelling. So
okay.
Speaking, yeah, kind of. I don't like the way people talk. People have different dialects. They come from different backgrounds. Maybe they weren't born here. Like they don't like whatever. Like I'm not. That doesn't bug me. But if I read a text or an email, or even my kids typing in the chat box on Zoom, oh my gosh, I want to correct their grammar and spelling so bad.
Yeah, I got sorry. That just reminded me of something. I'm just keep going. I'm taking a note because you said something that reminded me of one of mine.
It did. Obviously, I don't lose sleep over it, but it really like all I want to do is I have coworkers who, if they're about to type a important email or if they're writing a report from an incident they saw at school, they will have me come read it because they know I'm so anal and picky about how things are spelled and where commas should go, where apostrophes should go, how sentences should flow, and that's the writer in me for sure. I can't teach an English class to save the life of me, probably, but for like when I'm reading, like I want to correct, and it's, I'm not perfect. Like one of my coworkers will help me sometimes when I'm proofing someone's paper, but I like, especially when I get text messages and words are misspelled. Like anyway, so grammar and spelling is one of my pet peeves. I can't help it.
That's good. No, I'm with you, especially I think in the work setting. Now again, I understand people come from different backgrounds and there might be different things that cause the grammar issues, but when I see that, it's really tough when I see it from people here. I'm just going to say it because I don't think anybody I work with listens to me. I have a tough time when I know people have higher positions than me and make more money than me and are making those. It's like, hey, there should be some compensation for me because I don't make these mistakes in the grammar or punctuation, arena. Now, I'm not perfect. Like you said, I'm not perfect with it, but like when I know someone's making way more money than me and they have some really egregious errors, I'm like, hey, something's wrong here. This should not be this way. Especially when it comes to like a more formal thing. It's like, dang, this is not a good look, especially when it goes out to someone outside of the building. It's like, ooh, you probably should have had someone proof that first because that doesn't sound professional. But no, I'm completely with you on that. And let me ask you this: when it comes to texting, and I'm wondering if we're on the same page because I'd have to go back and look at some of our texts. I've never liked this, even when texting first came out. I never liked the shorthand. I was not someone who would really use the letter U. I just didn't do it. Like I don't think my fingers would allow me to do it. So do you use shorthand or do you type out the entire thing?
I'll be honest, I used to. Okay, so way back when Josh, when you and I were in like middle school, and you guys, this is like early 2000s we're talking about, when the Nokia phone was out, like, and it's just the numbers 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9, and that's how you texted, was you use the actual numbers because there were 3 letters to a number. Okay, I used shorthand then because come on, that was taking forever to text.
Different. Yeah, that's different.
Right. And then I want to say up and all the way through high school, I used shorthand, maybe even a little bit in college. I want to say 10 years ago, I probably started to stop, especially as soon as I got my first iPhone. I can't remember when, and it did like autocorrect and it started spelling the full words out. I liked the way that looked better, and obviously it's easier to use. So to answer your question in a long drawn out way, I do not use shorthand. I use I will correct my own grammar and spelling after I've sent a text.
Yeah.
Unless I'm in a hurry and it's a close friend and I don't care and they understand what I'm saying and I'm like, whatever, I'm not going to fix that. Right. Otherwise, I literally will reread what I put or glance at it and go, oh, I put Y-O-U-R instead of Y-O-U''RE, and I'll correct it and put a star and throw it in there. Not that they give 2 craps about it, but like it bugs me. Sure. So I will correct myself and then throw my correction in there.
Yep. No, I've been there before. It always sucks too when you make the error and then you do the asterisk, right, for the word,
Yeah.
and then you misspell that one. It's like, oh,
Oh yeah.
or it autocorrects to that, and then you do it again. So then you're
Yeah.
sending 3 texts for
hmm
one error. It's embarrassing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
I've been
when
there.
curse words start coming out in text messages.
It
Yeah.
just they start replacing the word you were trying to
Yeah.
say. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, oh, Deb's having a rough day. There you go.
Yeah.
No, I'm with you on that. And to kind of,
Yeah.
this was something you had said, because you had brought up work emails and how, like, if you see grammar issues in work emails that bothers you, along the lines of work emails, I hate this so much. And I'm glad you said what you said, because it brought this to my mind. This is a huge pet peeve of mine. I don't like it. I'm just talking to anybody who's listening who does this. Don't do this, because you're making a lot of people angry, and just stop. When you get a group email and there's always that one clown that decides to reply all,
I knew that
you
you were going to
clearly
say
don't
that.
need to reply all. And then you know what happens? A bunch of other clowns follow you down that same road. And then everybody starts replying all, until then the one person who just gets fed up is like, all caps, stop replying all. It's the same pattern every time. So don't do that. Don't do that, because it's like, no one cares. It's like, hey, I'm retiring, and then the one person writes this like long heartfelt message. Like, you could have sent that to them directly, because I'm not retiring. I don't need to hear this. Just send it to them. Let them feel appreciated. That's awesome, but don't send it to the entire group, because then everybody else is going to do the same thing. I don't like it.
Well, it's funny because my coworkers and I, we feel the same way.
Yeah.
So on the off chance that one of us in our circle or in our department accidentally, I don't think I've done it. I'm really trying to think if I've done it before. I know that a couple of us have done it on accident, like just one button over, like there's the button that says reply just to the person, and right next to that button is reply all.
Right.
So on the off chance that someone in our department will accidentally hit reply all, because we know we're going to get made fun of.
You got to roast
So
them.
we definitely don't do it on purpose, but I remember, I'll just call her out, Deb, the other Deb, she
Shout
hit
out to
reply
Deb.
all. Shout out to Deb. The other Deb, she hit reply all, and she said, I don't know, I mean, something simple like thank you, something. And then as soon as she hit send, she goes, oh my God. And I'm like, what's wrong? Like, she's on her phone. I'm not by my computer or phone. I don't know. She goes, I hit reply all. And I laughed so hard. Like, it was just you. I mean, you would have thought that like, I don't know, like something horrible happened by her reaction. Oh my God. It was, and I'm like,
that's awesome.
Reply all. And so anyway, she's like, I'm not going to hear the end of it at work. And so anyway, she got made fun of very much. So, but yeah, reply all is probably the worst as well.
Oh, I hate it so much. And especially like the bigger the organization gets, like I said, everybody's feel like they need to do this. Like I said, it's always because one person does it first, and then everybody jumps on board. It's like, don't do this. Don't do this. This is like I said, it's making everybody angry. Now I'm at the point now where like I expect it. So it's a little bit different now. Where I'm like, okay, I know it's going to happen. So I delete. But it's still a pet peeve. Don't do it. And I also want to give a shout out to Deb, because I feel like, not to keep harping on this, but I feel like Deb shares our stuff more than this Deb shares our stuff. Not a big deal, but I just want to say that Deb is more committed to the cause than you are.
Same. One of the Debs shares them. So
yeah,
one or both. So if it's both, it's just a bonus.
Usually it's just one, and it's not you. So let's move on to another pet peeve. Do you have another one? Because I only have one more. No, I have two more.
Okay,
hang on. We'll try to make this thing quick.
I have I do have two more as well.
Oh, perfect.
I wonder if so one of it is someone who
I think one of them, if we have the number one that I have on my list, not necessarily my number one for life, but if the one that I just the one that sparked off this whole concept of doing this episode, if you have this one, game over. Like we might be, instead of just friends, we may be best friends. I may have underestimated our friendship. So
best co-friends.
See, here's what happens, everybody. Deb keeps tossing out this co-friend thing. She doesn't want to call me friend. That's fine. I'll cry later. It's all good.
I said best co-friend. That's a huge compliment. Okay,
you still threw a co in there. Okay, we don't have time for this. Go ahead.
Okay, someone who is a know-it-all. So someone, I mean, and
Yep.
honestly, there are some people out there who genuinely, I'm like, dude, you know everything. Like, tell me, like, teach me your ways. Like, I will ask them and da da da. But there are some people. Okay, actually, no, I'm gonna make this a 2-for-1 because it kind of goes hand in hand. Because
Okay.
a person. Okay, so my other one on the list is someone who gives unsolicited advice, who is not a close friend. Honestly, if someone who is like, I'm like this with, like, my one of my friends uses this phrase, thick as thieves. I've never heard of that until she said that. Shout out to Nicole.
Shout out to Nicole.
Shout out to Nicole.
I like
If I'm
Nicole. I've
thick
never
as
met
thieves
Nicole.
with
Sorry, I'm gonna
someone,
interrupt you. I
yeah.
like Nicole because she makes fun of you for your you holding the mic for an entire hour long
Totally.
episode. So I'm a big fan of
Nicole, are
Nicole.
you watching this? Does this bug you? Is this your pet peeve?
Yeah.
Maybe this is her pet peeve.
Hey Nicole, I'm with you. Because I have to watch this for an hour. See, she's treating it like a submarine in a bathtub. So
So
she's about to do
Nicole
it. Go ahead.
uses the phrase thick as thieves. So unless I am thick as thieves with someone, I genuinely don't want their unsolicited advice. I didn't ask for it. It's not really appropriate. You don't really know me like that. So how would you know like what I should probably hear? So anyway, someone who is a know-it-all usually will give unsolicited advice as well because they know everything.
Right.
So again, there are a couple people that I've met in my life that I am like, yes, you actually, every time I ask you a question, you know it with confidence. You don't brag about it, and I believe you because you have it backed up. So I always ask for their advice or whatever. Again,
Mhm.
but someone who I don't, I feel like they're always like, oh, I know about this, and I could bring up, I could say, mermaids. Yep, I know all about mermaids, da, 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 their history, da, 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 and they start, I'm like, okay. And, I'll say the word, I don't know, I'm just looking at curtain. I'm just looking at a curtain in my room. Curtain. Oh yeah, curtains came from da, 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 and they just start, I'm like, okay, there's no what? So someone who is just like braggingly like thinks that or believes that they know everything
Yeah.
is usually the one to give the unsolicited advice. And yeah, that's a pet peeve of mine. So
It's
I don't
brutal.
know if that brutal.
Yeah, it's definitely brutal. I'm with you. I'm not a big fan of that either. And I think, like you said, the big distinction is the fact that you didn't ask for their advice. They just have to hop in there, and
Mhm.
they can't help themselves. You know what I'm saying? You can see it almost physically affect how they are. It's like,
Mhm.
and they just burst out because they have to say something.
Mhm.
It's like, oh
Yeah.
gosh, it's brutal. And let me ask you this, because you are um, you are a female, right? If anybody didn't know that,
Last I checked.
Deb is a woman. So can you imagine that? Yeah, never mind. So
Where was that going?
I don't know. It wasn't going anywhere good. So okay. So this is gonna be our last episode if this continues. So no, but I feel like interactions I've seen before, and this annoys me. This is a pet peeve of mine. Now maybe it's easier. Uh, maybe it's easy for me to say because I'm married, but I feel like it's almost most annoying for me to see this happen when it's a guy trying to impress a girl. Also, like he knows. Now you're out there, you're single. Is that something that you've come across, and is it as annoying to you as it appears to me when I see it from a third party perspective?
Yes.
Am I
Yes.
wrong? It does happen, right?
Oh yeah. Oh, for sure.
Okay.
And it's I think I can speak for most females when I say that it's a total turnoff. It's like, no, it's like you don't know all this. You don't pretend like it's okay. You don't have to impress me. Like just don't. It's like the opposite. It's like if it's someone, it'd be better if they were to admit like, oh, well, I don't know much about that, but or at least give us a chance to know something more about something than you do and be
Right.
interested in it. But yeah, oh no, yeah, that is a huge pet peeve, I think, for females. If
Okay.
it's clearly someone, a guy, someone trying to impress the other person,
Right.
I
It's
think.
just well, good. Like I said,
Like,
I've no guys trying
yeah.
to impress me like that, so I wouldn't know. But from the outside, it seems like that would be incredibly annoying. And I've witnessed guys do it. I'm like, dude, I feel like you're not you're not going to win this. I think this is not going to go well for you. And I'm going to, for my connection suggestion later, I'm going to explain where I heard this, but I did even hear someone talk about, and again, in the male female interaction or connection, when you have a guy that like decides to step in, like if you and I, here's the thing, if you and I were joking, we're friends or co-friends. If we were joking and I made fun of you and some dude steps in, he's like, no, hey, like that's not cool. Like, what? Like almost like the, you know, like I'm gonna be a hero. It's like we were joking.
Oh yeah.
I heard somebody mention that on a podcast recently. I'm like, oh, I hate that too. That drives me nuts because
yeah.
like, you know, it's just a weird thing, and it makes everybody feel uncomfortable. I've seen that a couple of times. It's happened to me before. It's like, well, that was clearly this is my sister I was joking with, and you don't know our relationship, but yeah, we were joking. You didn't need to step in and defend my sister. Like, what's wrong with you? You know what I mean?
Or
It's a
my
true story.
favorite. Yeah, well, and this is a rabbit trail, and I'll stop at this one after this one. But like my favorite is when they, you know, they're speaking of strictly like guys hitting on girls. Like that's all I can speak of, you know, for. But like when the guy is trying so hard to impress, or you know, or what have you, and they don't know anything about the female, and so now they're talking about a topic that the female is a professional at or a expert at, and they are acting like they know about it. And I've had, you know, where I'm just sitting there listening, talking about, you know, fitness stuff and workouts, and in my head I'm like, that's not right, or I'm just like, I wouldn't do it that way, but okay. Like I'm just in my head, I'm just like listening. And it was like with a group of people one time when one of my friends was around, and at the end when he stopped, my friends was like, you do know that she's a personal trainer and she's a PE teacher and she has her master's in kinesiology, right? Oops. And it was one of those things where then he was like, oh, okay, so you know what I'm talking about. And I just like like, yeah, no. It's something to where it's like, you know, you don't even know who you're talking to in terms of if you're trying to impress someone. Right. You have no idea what their expertise is. And I was just like, dude, that's not right.
Right. Well, yeah. And that, to me, that always shows that person may not have the best, doesn't have the best communication skills, or doesn't understand how conversation should go. Right. Yeah. Because like, why would I talk to you about something if I know nothing about you? Because you might know everything. Like you said, you may know everything about the topic that I am just ranting about. And it's just a bizarre thing. It's a bizarre thing.
Yeah. And I don't know if it's a nervousness thing. I don't know if they're just so nervous. So a little tip to all the single fellas out there, relax and don't try to impress the female by talking too much.
Yep.
Just relax.
There you go. So for the 3 or 4 guys that listen to this podcast, there you go. Some free advice. Jeez, I can't talk and I'm out of water. This is gonna be a problem. So
we should do a dating advice segment every week. 5 minutes.
I think I would be. Well, I'm gonna practice what we're talking about right now. I would be so worthless in a segment like that because like, I don't know if you knew this, but like Rachel and I, we started dating in high school.
Yeah. So, like, I remember. You told me that. Yeah.
Did I tell you that?
Or I think Rachel told me. No, well, it must have been Rachel.
It must have been. I wouldn't have told you that. Like, why would?
It must have been Rachel. I don't know. Well, because I hang out with you way more than her, so.
Unfortunately, that's true. Oh no, neither one of us is thrilled about that.
Well, then you could do the marriage advice segment, and I'll do the dating advice segment.
But here's the thing, and I made a face when you talked about the unsolicited advice because I am married and I also have kids now. Do you know how much? And I'm not talking like because I'm with you. Like if people that are close with me give advice, I'm okay with that because those people know who they are. There's people within my life and my circle that I would accept advice from. But you could say the same about everybody has a podcast, right? But I feel like every mom has a blog. Every married couple has something to say. It's like, and they always want to say, well, the secret to marriage, and like. You might be right, but like it's weird when they just want to press that on you. It's like, oh, that's cool. What's your name again? I don't even know you. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
No. Yep. And that's not meant to be an arrogant thing where it's like you can't tell me anything. No, like again, I've said this when we talked about friendship, however many episodes back. I'm someone who has a very tight circle of friends. Now, when I say that, that means that when it, like, just like you said, when it comes to unsolicited advice from them, I don't consider it unsolicited advice. I just consider it advice. I just consider it, conversation. I consider it them, pouring into my life and trying to help me out. Anybody outside of that circle that is unsolicited advice. And it's like, oh, you have 2 kids. Well, let me give you some advice. You don't know anything about my kids. You don't know anything about my life. You don't know anything about me. So why would you give us advice? You know what I mean? I don't go down the street to the construction site and say, hey guys, maybe if you put that more to the left, this would be a better building that you're constructing. I wouldn't do that because I know nothing about what they're doing. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So
exactly.
So I just wanted to piggyback off what you said. Like you're right. I'm in a little bit of a different space, but the unsolicited advice, like there's people out there that just want to give it. And I'm like,
yeah.
and maybe it's just my personality too. And maybe it's your personality. I just don't have the desire to do that. You know what I mean?
To give unsolicited advice.
Yeah. To just complete strangers. I don't have any. So maybe that's why it's pet peeve for us, because we would not do it.
Nope. Even if a complete stranger asks me for advice, I would feel awkward giving it because I'd be like, I don't know you, but I guess this is what I would. I always preface it, and I've had that happen before, not just off the street strangers, but like a friend of a friend who I just met like within the first like 10 minutes of the night type situation. Sure. I would say, well, I don't really know you, but this is, and if that were me, this is what I would do. So like, I don't, that's that at the most, that's what I usually would do if that were to happen.
Yeah.
So, but
I'm with you.
But
no, we may not have any listeners after this one, because I feel like there's a chance we've offended like every single one of our 10 listeners. So sorry everybody.
Hey, Nicole will still watch as long as I hold the microphone still.
Well, yeah, but you did this weird like fishy thing across the screen, so Nicole's gone. Nicole stopped listening 30 minutes ago. So all right, so I have one more, and you're done, right? You're
yeah, I'm done. That was my list. Yeah.
Okay, so this is the one. This is gonna be a silly one, and this is the one that really set it off for me. And this is, like I said, this is the one that sparked this idea of this episode in my mind. Okay, when you go to a hotel, this drives me nuts. I don't like it when you go down to like the breakfast area of a hotel and people just feel so free that they don't wear shoes, or they come down in their pajamas. Am I wrong here? Or do you do that?
Because I immediately pictured several, like right away, several scenarios of that happening, just because traveling, playing softball when I was younger, and traveling and coaching and traveling and staying in hotels and doing the breakfast thing before we got to hit the road. We got a game at, 9:00 in the morning.
Right.
Yeah, that, I mean, many times.
For so many reasons, right? For so many reasons. One, it's disgusting. It's gross. Even at the nicest hotels, that floor, it's still like a high traffic area. Don't do that. That's disgusting. Second, it's not your house. Like, you feel too comfortable. And this drives me nuts. Like when you see, especially it happens, and you would know, because I imagine you pick up on this because you're a high school teacher. It happens a lot with like high school kids. They just come down, you can tell that's whoever, like their counselor, whoever's running the trip, their teacher, their parents were just like, hey, we gotta get down to breakfast. And they were like half asleep, and they come down like, oh, like a freaking zombie, and wearing like half like torn pajamas. They're just like basically grabbing whatever's on the breakfast table. It's like, I don't even know if they know what they're eating, and just walking around with no shoes. Like, they just feel too comfortable. That's my problem. I just feel like that's weird. That's weird to me. It's, I know some people are like, you need to be dressed to impress all the time. I'm not that. Like, I wear t-shirts, like I'm wearing sleeves right now. It's starting to get warm here in Sacramento. When I'm outside, like, it's shorts and tank tops. That's like all I wear. I'm not saying I'm the best dressed person. I'm not David J, who's crazy how much he's blown up recently.
Oh yeah.
Dude, it's been cool to see. But like, that dude's dressed like amazing all the time. I'm not him. Like, joggers and a t-shirt, hoodie, I'm cool with that. But I also believe that, like, if you're going to a public place, you should at least dress somewhat presentable. Like, my gauge of what's presentable is so big. Like, you have you have such a big margin of error. And these crazies at the hotels is like, no, I'm just gonna go down with like one sock on, and then it's like, what are we doing? Pajama pants that are just torn. Like, this is not your house. This is not your house.
Yeah.
So
I feel like teenagers don't have many boundaries when it comes to that, but for sure, grown adults, when they do that, is very like just
yeah. It's just, and it's to the point. It's to the point. I'm glad we're on the same page, because if you're like, no, I do this all the time, I'm like, oh, Deb.
I'm like, yeah, I do
Yep.
that all the time. Just go to, yeah. At the very most, I will walk my dog or my roommate's dog around the neighborhood. Whoops, there it goes the microphone, Nicole. Sorry.
Because
I
you told
will
me.
I will walk my roommate's dog around the neighborhood in my pajamas, but it's like I just woke up. I don't care. Everyone's asleep. Other than that, I will wear, and again, I wear workout clothes everywhere I go.
See,
So
we're like we're in the same boat, kind of.
at the very least, I'll at least have my workout clothes on, my hair up, but my face is at least washed.
See,
Eye
I don't care
boogers
about
are
that.
out of my eyes, something.
Yeah. Well, that's good. No,
Yeah.
and see, like that, I don't care about. Like, you're outside, you're at your home,
Yeah.
you're wherever you
But
live,
hotel.
like wherever you're living, it's perfect. Like hotel, it's like, because again, you're basically like, let's not forget, people. It's a hotel, but you're basically at a restaurant at that point, right?
Yeah.
Like, you're at a restaurant, so like you just come in looking disheveled, like you had the worst night of your life. Why? Why are we doing this? It's nonsense to me. I'm not a fan,
Mm.
and it bothers me. And I feel like at this point, because similar to you, I've done a lot of baseball tournaments, gone on a lot of family trips, so I've seen this all the time. I think there's even like etiquette when you go to those breakfast places at hotels, because I think people just lose their mind at hotel breakfast places. I think they just
Yeah.
do stuff that's like, that wouldn't even be acceptable, like at someone's house. Why would you do that in a public place? Like, I saw one lady,
They're on vacation, man.
I guess so. That's really the only explanation of it, right? Like, I remember we were at a place where I was maybe like 11 or 12. 11 or 12. I understood that this was wrong. 11 or 12. And this woman she had multiple trays, and she was just like scooping mounds of food onto these trays and taking it all back to her family. I'm like, I get what you're doing, but like, you're also like leaving nothing for anybody else, and you're taking like mounds of food back to your plate
Wow.
and just like dumping it on the table. It's like, enjoy, kids. I'm like, this seems like it should be wrong, and your kids are grown. Your kids got legs. Make him walk. Make him walk and get his own
Yeah.
food. Like, why are we serving the entire family? Like, it was weird to me. But again, I just think people lose their minds at
Yeah.
hotel breakfast places.
Yeah.
And like I said, because we've been to enough hotels and places over the years, you can tell, right? Like, you're sitting there eating breakfast and you hear like plop plop plop. It's like, oh, some person's walking through barefoot on this nasty floor. What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you?
Yeah. It's almost like a cleanliness thing for sure.
A lot of things wrong with it, but it's just like, I think my thing is, you're too comfortable. Stop it.
Yeah.
Stop it.
Yeah.
So,
I agree.
anyways,
That was a good
that was a good
one
one.
to end on. That
Uh,
was something I never would have thought of that actually.
And again, that's the one that sparked this whole thing off. I think there's a problem with that. And I'm sure I would love, when we post this, I would love to know what everybody else's pet peeves are. I would love to know what your pet
Yeah.
peeves are. I'm sure, again, like, I think the funny thing about pet peeves is, I think pet peeves just like build off of each other. Cause like I said, some of the things you said, I'm like, oh yeah, I hate that too. And
Yeah.
it's just, they kind of grow, snowball off of each other.
Yeah. It was funny. So like I texted Nicole right before we recorded this and I said, hey, what are some of your pet peeves? Like, just telling her about our episode, and I'm just like, hey, what are some of yours? So she gave me very quickly a list, just like short bullet points. And I said, oh, really? I said, I'm going to do all of those things now in front of you.
Oh, that's cold. That was a setup.
And
That's
she
brutal.
was like, oh yeah, she gave me not so nice choice of words that I can't say on here after that, but it was classic. It was great.
You could if you want.
But no,
We're
just
free here.
kidding.
No,
Huh?
give me. Would it be okay if you gave me one of Nicole's pet peeves? Yeah, would
One
you?
of them, yeah, I have it.
Like, the one that you find like really interesting that you wouldn't have guessed.
Hang on.
Deb's looking at. Deb's looking for it right now.
Okay, here's one. Talking in a voice that's not theirs, like baby talk.
Oh, all right. That was me slamming the
Is that a
table.
good one?
Hey,
That was
Nicole,
one
I'm
of
with you.
hers?
Nicole, I'm with you. I don't know why people do that. I do not know why
Oh,
people do that. And again,
yeah.
because
I
Nicole.
don't.
So Nicole is the
Yeah.
mom of Jessica, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, from our other podcasts. So
Yeah.
Nicole knows this from having kids. When you have kids, everybody wants to do this. Like, that's not your real voice. Like, why are you talking to the kid this way? don't talk to the kid that way. Like, and not like,
Yeah.
where they use like
Oh
weird.
yeah.
I'm all for, like we've always said here, like I'm all for being silly and stuff like that. But then sometimes people use like really bizarre voices, like they're trying out for a cartoon. And I'm like, hey, let's not do that. You're gonna creep my kid out. Let's not maybe not use that voice.
I I am I don't mind that when it's, and this is because I do it. I talk to dogs and puppies that way. I don't
Okay,
mind that, but if they're just like talking to me as a person and just going off and fluctuating their voice, or I don't know, I can't even think of an example, but that would bug me for sure. But yeah, that is one of hers,
that's a good
talking in a
one.
voice, not let baby talk. That's right after that I said I'm totally doing all of these things in front of you now, along with
Okay,
her
well,
list.
since we're not gonna be part of those interactions or the conversations. Like, give us what's the voice you're gonna use for Nicole?
Oh my gosh, I don't even know. I can't.
I'll
I
put you on
can't.
the
You put me
spot.
on the spot. I
Give
can't
us
even.
give us
I
something.
can't. No, I can't even. You put me on the spot. That's gonna be. I'll do everything else you wrote down, and that last one I'm gonna have to work on.
All
I'm
right.
not gonna reveal it here because then she's gonna hear it. So I'm just gonna have to.
Oh, fair enough. Fair enough.
The only thing I can do a really good Valley Girl voice,
Let's hear
but
it.
it's probably because I already sound like a Valley Girl.
Okay.
And so, yeah, no, I'm not gonna do it on here though.
Okay. I
So
tried. I tried everybody. Deb's not willing to give the people what they want. That's fine. She'll give everything else. She'll give her social security number, her location of soccer, but she won't give a voice. That's fine. So, anyways, we're gonna move on. The
Moving on.
connection suggestion. We probably shouldn't have recorded tonight. This has been nonsense the entire time.
This has been complete nonsense. It's okay though.
I've missed these conversations. This is fun. So,
Yeah.
connection suggestion. If you're new to the show or if you don't remember, the connection suggestion is basically a person, brand, organization, restaurant, whatever it may be that we feel like you guys should be connected with and aware of. So, usually, if we have a guest, we just ask our guests what their connection suggestion is. But when it's just us, then we give out a couple of our own. So, Deb, what's your connection suggestion?
I forgot. Hang on. I forgot their name. Well, this is off to a good start.
Jeez.
I know. Now I
She
gotta
knows.
Google it.
She
Really
knows.
quick.
Well, I'm gonna go ahead and go since this is
You go. You go.
just a
I'm
bunch
looking
of
for it right
dead
now.
air that we don't want. Okay, so um, the one that I kind of mentioned before, where I heard that idea.
Oh, I found it. Sorry. Go ahead. Keep going.
Okay, perfect. Good. I'm glad you found it. So.
Oh wait, no, I did the wrong one. This is so embarrassing. Keep going. No.
Okay, so she.
No,
Hold
now
on.
I'm just
Hold on.
talking out loud.
No, yeah, no, and you interrupted me twice, even though I mentioned it earlier.
Sorry. Go ahead.
You sure?
Yes. Go ahead.
All right. So what I mentioned.
Okay.
what
No,
I mentioned,
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
oh,
I'm just kidding. I'm sorry.
oh, I don't know why I do this podcast. There's a reason why I cut down to one podcast with you. The truth's coming out, people. I couldn't handle two podcasts with her. I was like, I can only do this one time a week. Okay. Okay, here we go. So the one that I was going to mention it's called the Juice Edit. So guy I know named Trent Ellerman and his co-host Savannah Carreno. Hopefully I said your last name. Savannah, I don't know you, so I apologize if I mess up your last name, but they just started a podcast recently. And I can speak to this. I know Trent's a good dude. He's got a lot of awesome opinions and insights on different things. They basically just talk about pop culture and different things that are going on in pop culture. And I think they have 5 or 6 episodes at this point, and it's really, really good. I even texted him. I said, "Hey man, I'm jealous of the way yours sounds because we're using Zoom and getting cut off every other word, and it just sounds way better than ours." But it's a really fun podcast. So if you enjoy pop culture and if you enjoy those types of things, I would definitely check it out. And on Instagram, you can follow them at The Juice Edit. That's The Juice, JUICE EDIT. Make sure you guys follow them because they just have a really, really cool podcast that I think everybody here would enjoy. And the other one I was going to say too, I don't think I've ever shouted them out, but my favorite restaurants that I don't go to very often because it's downtown Sacramento and I just don't make my way there very often is Cafeteria 15L. I don't know if you've been there, Deb. Their food is delicious. They have a really good breakfast, like a tater tot breakfast scramble, which is amazing. They have really good waffles, which are good, and then the thing I get for lunch there every once in a while, like I'll go from like jury duty. I'll make a trip down there just to eat their food. It's their grilled cheese and French fries and tomato soup is
Ooh.
delicious. It's a grilled cheese and ham sandwich. It's amazing. So,
Mm.
yeah, if you're here in Sacramento, then I would definitely, and I'm sure you guys have heard of it, but if you haven't heard of it or you've never been there, I would definitely check it out because it's delicious. One of my favorites.
Yeah, Cafeteria 15L is really good. That's usually honestly our school goes there after graduation every year,
Oh,
but not this year just because our graduation is usually at Golden One, and then so it's right there. So we go have it's like our staff party basically in that outdoor area. Really, and oh my God, their food is so good. But unfortunately, it's not this year. We have to have it at a different place just because of COVID, because there's so many of us. We have a big staff, but it's a good place. But my place too, and I had it right in the first place. The logo just threw me off when I was looking it up. And then I thought it was called something else. I haven't been there in a while, but I was thinking this is the first thing that came to my mind. It has to do with food, but if you like ice cream and donuts, you will like the Parlor Ice Cream. Have you been there before?
it's delicious.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh my gosh. They basically, I mean, you can get just ice cream there, but they basically put ice cream in between a donut and sandwich it like a panini. And it's just like a sugar overload and it is so good. So it's on Instagram, it's just the Parlor Ice Cream. And it's on Fair Oaks Boulevard in Sacramento.
Yeah.
So good. It's
Also,
usually pretty busy. Every time I've been there, it's like busy.
well, especially now because the summers here in Sacramento get so hot.
Yeah.
Always
Yeah.
crowded. And there's also one in Roseville.
Yes. Yeah.
I've actually been to the one in Roseville. And so if you
Okay.
don't live near the one that Deb said, or if you don't live at the one in Roseville, you have options. So
that was one of the first dessert places I discovered when I moved to Sacramento 8 years ago. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Because I lived in Arden. So I was like, what is this? And then I kept going back. So
nice.
Oh yeah, it's a good one. Yeah.
Cool.
So anyway, that's my connection suggestion. Ice cream
Awesome.
and donuts.
Ice cream and donuts. All wrapped up in one. Perfect.
Yeah.
That was a fun episode. It's good to be back.
Yeah. Good to be back.
Good to be back.
Good to be
And
back and bickering and venting.
yep.
Apparently.
Yep. We don't bicker. Well, no, sorry, excuse me. We don't vent that often here, I don't think. We do bicker. We do
not
bicker
really.
quite a bit. Have you ever seen that movie Life with Eddie Murphy and Martin Lawrence?
It's been a while.
Okay, but you know the movie.
Yeah.
Do you really know the movie?
Kind of.
I knew it. I could just tell.
I want to feel like I watched it but like I can't recall any scenes. So, but I know what you're talking about. But like if you are about to like tell me a scene and you'll say, do you know what I'm talking about? I'm going to say no.
Yeah. I gathered all that from your hesitation. Like everything that you just said, you didn't need to say because I knew that because the way you said it, it's like, oh yeah, she hasn't seen this movie, or if she did, such a long time.
Well, I know I've heard of it. That's all I got for you.
And she just keeps going further. It's like, what's it about? Yeah, okay. So, anyways, they basically Eddie Murphy and Martin Lawrence get connected at some point, and then they end up going to prison for life. And then the whole movie is just about their interactions and how they deal with each other and deal with different situations. But they're basically bickering the entire time. This podcast is basically that. You and I are just,
oh my God.
At the end of the movie, just like two old guys just bickering about stuff that doesn't really matter to anybody.
That is awesome.
Yeah. So it would have been more awesome if you knew the reference more, but that's fine. And you didn't lie about that. And would that fall in the category of trying to be?
I didn't lie. I was really trying to think. I was trying to recall. In my head, I'm like, what's that movie about? What's it about? Have I seen it? I was like scanning my brain. But anyway, yeah.
Do you do that often? Where
yeah.
Like you answer really strong.
For sure.
Then you scan your mind. It's like, do I really know this is what I'm talking about?
Totally. Absolutely. Not all the time, but a lot of the times I do that. Yes. Especially when it's past my bedtime.
Oh, here we go. That's always like Deb's subtle cue to wrap this thing up. All right. I get the hint. Do you want to go ahead? Where can they follow us, Deb?
You guys can follow us let me see if I can remember this. On Twitter at Connectable Pod, Instagram Connectable Podcast.
Hold on. No, I just wanted to interrupt you too. No, I just wanted to interrupt you back. So we're good.
Oh my God. Okay. Instagram at Connectable Podcast, Facebook, and then of course we're on YouTube like this if you're watching us on YouTube. So
Yep.
Did I get them all?
I think so. I don't want to be rude about this, but I'm just going to say this. So the last thing I say before we get out of here. Anytime I ask Deb to do all of our social media plugs, I don't know if this imagery like resonates with everybody, but have you ever watched a squirrel trying to run across traffic? It's almost like you're watching this squirrel and you're like, I really hope this squirrel makes it, but there's a lot of things coming at it. And I don't know if the squirrel is going to quite make it. Oh, almost got hit by a car. Nope. Good. The squirrel made it. That's how I feel every time. Like I'm just holding my breath, hoping that she's going to make it through this. You know why we don't have sponsors on this show? Is because I don't think you would be able to do the reads.
I wouldn't be. Oh, no. I would need a script for sure.
That's the problem. You might have a script, and I think you would still get lost. I feel like you would get distracted, or if it was these late at night things, you would fall asleep, and then we would lose our sponsorships. That's the real reason why we don't have any ads on these podcasts.
Late at night for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm
There we
not
go.
even gonna deny that part.
Good. All right. Let's wrap this thing up. That's enough. That's enough. You guys can get more of this podcast next week. So, all right, you guys.
Hope you guys enjoyed.
Yep. And we will see you guys next week. See ya. Thanks for watching the show. If you enjoyed that episode, make sure you like it, share it, and hit the subscribe button to get a new episode every week. We'll see you next time on the Connectable Podcast.